For the first time this morning, we're hearing from someone who worked inside one of the facilities caring for undocumented children separated from their parents. We showed you this video on Wednesday from inside the Cayuga Centers right here in New York. Groups of children can be seen in what look like classrooms. At one point, a little girl starts to cry because she cannot speak to her mom. These videos were provided to CBS News by attorney Michael Avenatti. They were recorded by a former employee of Cayuga Centers who quit because of what she calls injustice. The facility has not commented on her allegations and the circumstances of her departure. In a statement to CBS News, Cayuga Centers says this: its staff members go far beyond the requirements of their jobs in ensuring the safety and comfort of all unaccompanied children, referred to their program. Pamela Baez is her name. She's a former Cayuga Centers employee who recorded the videos. She's joined now with her lawyer, Michael Avenatti, for an interview you'll see only on CBS This Morning. Welcome to you both to the table.
Good morning.
Pamela, I want to start with you. What did you see that made you think, I got to pull out my phone and record this?
I think that what made me pull out a phone was knowing that these kids were getting psychologically, it was affecting them tremendously and physically as well.
What did you see that made you know they were being affected psychologically?
By me asking them, do you want to speak to your clinician and case manager, I saw that the kids will start automatically crying because they didn't have the opportunity to speak to their parents that have been in detention centers. For example, I had a minor that didn't speak to his mom for a month and a half because he didn't know about his situation.
We keep hearing that these kids are allowed to have contact and communicate with their parents.
They do, but there's not enough phones in the company to make these phone calls.
And yet, Pamela, your former employer says that the children there are fed nutritious food, provided essentials such as clothing and toiletries, and are visited by doctors as well. So what did you see that bothered you?
What bothered me was that, for example, a lot of these kids, through the medical department, they were taking a very long time to get seen. Also, the psychological trauma that was going on, a lot of the kids weren't being seen right away.
You know, Michael, when we spoke on Wednesday, you told me that in one of the videos that we saw of a little boy named Leo, his mother, Lourdes, had been deported back to Guatemala. Pamela, do the kids understand that their parents, in some cases, may be thousands of miles away from where they are?
A lot of them, they don't even understand, because if you see in the video of Jessica, and I asked her first about where her mother is, she said in the States. So
She thought her mom was still in the United States.
In the States, but she has no idea. It took her a while to figure out, yes, it's in Virginia, but a lot of these kids, they have no idea where their parents are.
In over 80% of the cases that I'm involved in, and I represent over 60 mothers, in over 80% of those cases, the parents don't know where the children are, and the children don't know where the parents are. The government has effectively stolen these children from these parents and have refused to tell the parents where they're at, because in most cases, they don't know where they're at. I mean, this is a travesty that these parents have been separated from their children and vice versa, and there does not appear to be a will to reunite these children with their parents.
We keep hearing, though, Michael, that the reunification process is underway, that the kids are being allowed to communicate with their parents and vice versa. That's not your experience.
That's just not true, Gayle. I have countless parents that I'm representing, mothers that don't know where their children are, want to communicate with their children, are not able to communicate with their children, and I see nothing to indicate that there's any concentrated effort to reunite these kids with their parents. How complicated is this? It's not that complicated if there's a will to reunite these kids.
Well, is that what you're saying too, Pamela, that there's no really, is there a system to figure out how to get the children and their parents back together that you could see?
Well, the system that I know about is that they have this system where it's called like a sponsor, where they find a sponsor for the child. But at the end of the day, that's not who you came with to the United States. You didn't come with, you came with your family. So that's how that's who you should be with, not a regular sponsor that they probably don't even know. And I don't think that we should be handing in our kids to any stranger. You know, I think that is important for these kids to stay united.
One of the things we keep hearing, though, Michael, is that, you know, drug dealers and gang members are, or in some cases, using these children to get into the country, or that they are slipping through the country themselves with these kids. What is your experience with that?
Gayle, there may be an isolated incident here or there, but that's a bunch of nonsense. And it's designed by the president and some of his supporters to create this boogeyman in a closet and scare people. These mothers and fathers have come to the United States in an effort to pursue the American dream and to pursue a better life for themselves and their children. These aren't thugs, they're not drug dealers, they're not using kids as shields. It's an absolute absurdity.
Yeah, were you seeing that, gang members and drug dealers coming in?
No, not at all. It's the opposite. People are running away from the gangs. They're not there. There's no gangs coming in. And if you see the rates, they're actually lower.
You knew you could lose your job by doing this. You quit,
Yes.
but you knew you could lose your job.
Yes, I knew that, but I think that it's very important for this to come out because I noticed that nobody was doing anything. And I thought that by me actually coming out and showing my face will give the courage to other people to actually do the same, because I think that right now is now or never. This is the time to reunite these families, and this is what needs to happen right now.
And Michael Avenatti, we know you as Stormy Daniels' lawyer. Now it's like, now Michael Avenatti's involved in this case.
Well, Gayle,
What do you say about that?
I've been fighting against injustice for 18 years, and I'm going to continue to do so. And it just so happens that this president is constantly on the other side of the law and outside the bounds of the law. And if I see something that bothers me, that I think people need support and assistance, I'm going to provide it.
How did you reached out to him? He reached out to you? How did
No,
you two
I
get together?
reached out to him. I did my own personal research within the company, also about Avenatti, and that gave me the trust that I could trust on him.
So you would, did he ask you to tape?
No. Everything happened afterwards. Me doing my research and looking for somebody that I could trust.
All right, Pamela, we thank you. Michael, thank you for coming in today.
Thank
you both, and very brave of you to do that.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Because we hadn't seen what was happening in those facilities. Thank you.
Very
Pamela.
courageous.
Because we don't get to see you inside the facilities.
I hope more people show up.
Thank you,
All right.
Pamela.